So people on the outside got reports of some harm going on, child abuse, and so that's when they came in to investigate. They realized that it's so much bigger than that, and then they actually eventually find the evidence that I believe is what incriminated your dad, eventually put him away,
Yeah.
and it actually was child abuse.
So they did get a phone call from some random person, which we found out later. And sometimes I wish we could investigate that and look into that because I have never heard more information on that. It's just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, some weirdo called and made this happen. And I'm like, well, it must have been for a reason. Like somebody must have put them up to it because you don't just do that to a random cult, you know? But
Yeah.
they came in, they saw the girls' journals. So a big thing that happened is we did school in what we called our meeting house. It was like a building where we did school and meetings and that stuff. And that's what they used as like interview rooms. So they came on and they were like, we want to interview all the underage girls like from 17 to age 7. And we just want to see what's going on to see if there's any abuse. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll let you talk to them. So they brought all the girls down on the land from all the families except for fathers. It was like, we gotta protect the prophet's family. I don't know why, but in those classrooms was the girls' journals, the high school girls, and in their journals they would write everything about their lives. I mean, just day-to-day stuff. And so when the state was in those rooms, they started looking in the desks and in the journals and stuff and started reading how some of the girls that were going to school had kids, and or some of the girls in their journals would talk about people in their house that were underage that also had kids. And so I think that's when it got a lot bigger. It got a
Yeah.
lot more intense, and they were like, what's going on? Because now there's like journals of girls that are underage with babies. So they're like, well, we got to talk to more people. We got to see more kids. And I think that's when it really blew up. And that's when they decided to like remove everyone from the land because the girls were giving them a pretty hard time.
Yeah. Well, because that's what you've been trained to do.
Oh yeah, it was like when they came on the land, there was like people everywhere telling us kids and us girls like, say I demand a lawyer and don't answer any of their questions, don't even tell them your name and all this stuff. So it was very intense, and we definitely knew what to say.
I'm sure it was difficult too because on one hand, there are girls being abused by Warren, and it's all very secretive, and he would call them heavenly sessions, and there's evidence of that, video evidence of that, which is horrifying. And on the other
Mhm.
hand, you have hundreds of kids who are living fairly normal lives aside from the forced labor. And there, it's just, it seems like there is such a divide. And so it would feel shocking to have police come in and just rip you from your families, rip you from your parents, and have them say this is for your own good. And you're like, what are you talking about? Why are you doing this? Is that kind of the boat that you were in? Is why are you taking me from my mom or my mom's?
Yeah, I would say it was. It was just very scary. And also, my dad, a year before that, he had, in one of his phone calls from prison, this was after he had been captured and taken to prison. In one of his phone calls, at least a few months to a year before that, he had said, they will try to come in and take you. Like, he had, like, predicted this was going to happen in a revelation, so called. And so when it
Wow.
started happening, then it was like, oh my goodness, like father said this was going to happen and they're doing it now. And I think the people running the raid and like doing the operation, I don't think they realized that their actions was making us believe so much more. Like
Mm-hmm.
now I get their point of view, like we got to go in and help these kids, but I don't think what they didn't realize at the time was that we believed so much more. It was like,
Yeah.
you guys apparently are fulfilling father's prophecy and you're evil. So, I think at the time it was just a confirmation and stuff.
Let's talk
So,
about that mindset shift that you were mentioning, where first you were like, get away from us. We don't want anything to do with you, to this is great that I don't have to clean bathrooms, and started to relax and trust them more.
so I feel like it was very intense for me, while they were on the land, and then they like loaded us into buses. And my mom was not home at the time. She was in Arizona visiting father in prison, so she wasn't on the land with us. And so when they were taking us away and all the kids were going to be with their moms, I will say one thing about that is we weren't with our moms very much. Like, if we were lucky, we would spend half an hour to an hour with them once a day, if we were lucky. And so all the kids were getting to go be with their moms, and it was very exciting because you got to spend a whole day with your mom, you know? But my mom wasn't there, so I was just kind of tossed around. It was like, who am I supposed to be with? Because Vicky had her own kids that she had to take care of, and she was, keeping track of them. And so I didn't really have a mom. So I ended up with one of my mom's full sisters that had married my dad and didn't have any kids, and she was kind of the one that led us around. So I was really sad about that at the time. It was kind of like, where's mother? Like, when am I going to see her again? So I feel like that was like my biggest worry in the raid
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
How long were you in custody?
I think it lasted like 2.5 months, 8 to 10 weeks. It feels way longer than that because so many things happened in that span of time. But I would say it was after. So we were moved around, the state moved us around to a bunch of different places, and then we ended up in a big place where they separated all the adults from the kids. And it was like 17 and younger in this big building. They took all the mothers away, and all that stuff happened. I feel like after all the mothers went away and the staff were like the ones in control, doing our meals, doing our schedules, and all that stuff, that was when I really like loosened up. I really warmed up to some of those people, which I got in a lot of trouble for, but there were some of those people that I really, really liked.
Yeah. What was it that made them disarming to you?
I don't mean to bash anyone, but I feel like praising kids was not a thing. Like, you do good and you're like, thank Heavenly Father and work harder. So I feel like with the staff and people that I really warmed up to, they would like see me do something and it would be like, whoa, you're so big. Like, you can do that so well. And I'm just like, oh, I must be great, and I just never experienced that. So I feel
Oh,
like a lot of the people that I like got along with well and would talk to and want to hang with and stuff, it was a lot of that. It was just being a human being mostly.
yeah.
And I remember the girls like getting after me and being like, you gotta not talk to them and you gotta not like them and all this stuff. But I just couldn't help it.
Yeah. They were giving you that praise and that affection and that connection that you've been missing.
I look back and I wish I could talk to them because I was so young and I don't remember exactly everything, but I was like, for some reason I just hooked on to some of those people. But
I ask that because if anyone out there listening ever finds themselves in a position to help somebody in that mindset or that state of mind, I just wondered what it was that was helpful. And it's really just being kind and trying to connect.
it's being kind, but it's also like noticing the good. Like, don't notice the weird things they do and the weird culture they're from. It's like, wow, you draw so good and all that stuff, and it makes a child, especially children, like want to show you more or like want to tell
Mm-hmm.
you more instead of saying, you have to tell me this, because I was questioned multiple times. Like, they would take us into the back of the building, into these little rooms, and ask us all these questions, and I would just cry and
Uh,
just say, I don't want to talk to you, I don't like you, and all this stuff. But then we would go out into the normal room and I would go find the staff member that was over me and I was just fine with them.
yeah.
So I think questioning us and like trying to get answers and all this stuff, it was very intimidating. But
Yeah. Did you want to go back home?
yeah, I never like lost my desire to go home. Like, I always wanted to go home. I always wanted to see my mom because she wasn't there the whole time. It was like, I wanna see mother, I wanna, like, go home, and I don't know. I'm sure there was a lot of things that I liked doing and whatever, but, everybody was like, "Just tell him you wanna go home, tell him you wanna go home," so that was what we were constantly saying.
Yeah.